Come on in, bestie. Welcome to StoryPod, where we do the doing of story development together. Brought to you by Creative BFF. Ooh, girl. I pressed start recording before I was ready. It is a pleasure to be before you once again. It is a pleasure to be in your company again today for a little bit of story brain action to work these story muscles. Okay, we're back in the story gym. We're pumping iron so that we can go out into the world ready to make a story at the drop of a hat. If they point a gun at us and say, make up a story, girl, I got you. I'm surviving. Okay, I'm surviving and thriving. Anyway, my name is Ashley. Thank you so much for joining me on the StoryPod podcast. As you can see, we are in a little bit of a weird mood. Not really a weird mood. We're just out here because now you and I are best friends. We've been here for several episodes and now I feel like we're truly best friends. Okay. Me, you, and this mic are truly best friends. Anyway, let me stop all this talking, all this yammering, and let's get down to business. Let's get down to business. Okay. If you have a story question, please let me help you with it. I would love to do that. I can either answer it here on this podcast, girl, or we can set up a one-on-one meeting sesh, whatever you want to call it. And you can reach out to me at ash@creativebff.com, or you can go to my website, creativebff.com. All of that information should be linked below somewhere. Okay. So feel free to clickety-click the link, okay? I am so sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Today, we are answering a question from Reddit, as we have done several times before. But you know what? It doesn't get old for me because it's fun. I hope it's fun for you. I hope that we're all learning and growing as writers together. In any case, I've already been here for 2 minutes. Okay, let's get down to business. The question is from the r/fantasy writers, from Artemis Lee Ca. Now this is a little bit of a longer one because they provide some backstory information. So bear with me. Here we go. You can skip also if you want to. You can jump ahead a little bit until the little box disappears on your screen. So anyway, they had reached out previously to this subreddit with some story help, and so they just reach out again because they're stuck and they're thanking them for their great help. So the background and context is 200 years ago, one kingdom, A, to the west, saw another kingdom, B, the middle kingdom, was struggling with many factions vying for power. So A decides to try to invade and take over B. A did so with the use of dark magic and necromancers. B's factions tried to come together to stop this, but they didn't have knowledge or ability to stop them. So they reached out to another kingdom, C, to the east. C is a place of magic and mysteries, and they were able to help defeat A. As a result, B moved into the territory A occupied, and the borders between B and C shifted west as both gained territory. The border was originally created by a small mountain range, and so C is now moving through the range and beginning to spread west. Literally spread, as the kingdom is covered by a heavy cloud and fog/mist that vastly limits the range of sight. B doesn't know why or how that works. They only know that once the territory belongs to C, it changes. Now, 200 years later, there's a reason B continues to need C's help. Possibly a lingering spell from A that C continues to push back or stop, and B is grateful C doesn't just push to take over all the territory. B still has numerous factions, but they rule as a council now. For some reason, B is providing C's cursed prince with a bride. I'd like to relate the reason back to the original war between A and B, like some kind of promise C made in return. Some kind of promise made in return for C's help. I'm trying to figure out why B would provide a bride, but also what benefit specifically does the faction whose bride is chosen from get from this? I want it to be something that is almost life and death important, not just power, prestige, or status. Sorry again for the wall of text. So this is a very interesting story. I hope I get to read it one day. I really liked the imagery of this wall of mist moving forward as Kingdom C spreads its territory. I like the vibe of Kingdom C, so I'm hoping that I get to read this story one day. And so my answers, I have a couple of answers. Look, I wrote it down on my little note page, right? And they might all be kind of tied together. And reading the question again, let me know. Maybe I didn't approach it directly from the person's question. I might not be providing directly the exact answers, but you know what? This is just to get the brain going. So let's see what happens. I'm gonna share my answers and maybe we'll develop. It'll continue to grow from there, or maybe I'll be way off base and you can let me know. Okay. So one idea, and these probably can all kind of flow together. One idea, and forgive me if I avert my eyes, I have my notes in front of me. Sorry, my TV was about to turn off. So I might avert my eyes down to look at my notes. Forgive me. So number one is maybe the brides are chosen from a lineage with like a disease, which could be a magical disease or a wasting disease that is only cured in Kingdom C, specifically maybe by the cursed prince. Now that may or may not be as really connected to the question here. It could work, but maybe. It could be that the bride, now this is kind of like why they're providing the bride, right? It could be that the bride is identified supernaturally or magically, and chosen when she develops a curse or a condition similar to the prince. And this could have been something that was maybe done as kind of like a what is it called? A contingency? Not a contingency, but like, when you collateral, that's the word, maybe something like collateral or something like a guarantee that Kingdom B would follow through, is that there's, maybe Kingdom C puts some sort of magical cursey identification system in so that, the curse itself, the magic itself identifies the bride for whatever prince is on the throne, right? And so once that bride is identified, it's like, this is the one. Okay, now this is, and it's kind of all, they all kind of tie together, but I put them as individual notes. This is still, sorry. So this magically sealed by the originators of the agreement. The curse chooses the bride and she'll basically waste away and die if she doesn't go, right? So there's like a life and death type of thing. It's like, you gotta go or you're gonna die. The curse has chosen you. And so, arrivederci, girl. Okay, get on out of here. Another one could be like she's, the bride is chosen by lot from a few particular families. And if they don't go, maybe there's death or imprisonment. And there could still also be this element of, your family, to sweeten the pot, the family maybe gets like a nice dowry, maybe from, the prince. Why not? Why not? It's like, because Kingdom C is not striking me as a janky kingdom. It strikes me as maybe there's some honor in there. And so it could be, excuse me if you couldn't hear me, it could be that C is like, okay, yeah, you've got this wasting disease. Yeah, the curse chose you, but I am also willing to do the normal thing, which is to provide, quote unquote, a bride price, which I don't know, maybe that sounds janky, in our modern minds. But listen, whatever. It could be an element. It's like, okay, we will also provide a lovely, severance package for your family, making sure they're taken care of. They get a bunch of money, or, whatever, they become nobility, maybe in Kingdom B, but also if they ever come to Kingdom C to visit, they are treated as nobles, obviously, because, their daughter is the princess or queen now of the kingdom. So there is that element. It logically would follow that there would be that element, but there could still be a magical, cursey type of element to it where it's like, it is a life or death. Let me look at the question again, type of thing. Yeah, so benefits that the faction gets, maybe there's also, I'm trying to see, okay, sorry, I had to pause to read the question again. So reading it out loud for you. Why would B provide a bride, but also what benefit specifically does the faction whose bride is chosen from get? So you could build into it that maybe there is some kind of disease, curse type of thing. Maybe they get the cure for that as a benefit. In addition to becoming nobles in both kingdoms and, all that, if they're not already. Perhaps there is a new set of magical powers that they get. I'm kind of grasping a little bit. Perhaps they are bestowed with, knowledge of new arcane abilities. Perhaps they are given new abilities, new magic that they can now do. That is something that the others in the kingdom can't do. So maybe they become magisters of Kingdom B. Maybe it hops. So whatever faction the bride gets from during the bride's lifetime or until a new bride is chosen, that family now becomes magic wielders within Kingdom B, if we're continuing with this thing of Kingdom B not having knowledge or magic, and so now this family or this faction is able to utilize it. That could be cool. I haven't fully developed that idea in my mind, but that could be a very good incentive, I think, for a magically devoid kingdom where this magical kingdom now shares some of their magic with the faction that the bride is chosen from. And it could have a variety of different effects, from practical things like increasing crop yield to extending life to, them being able to more effectively protect Kingdom B, whatever the case may be, whatever fits logically, whatever types of magic fit logically within your world, that could be what they get as a boon. They could get literal treasure and magical treasure, perhaps a cure for a disease, a curse, or whatever, as well as it being that maybe it's not even only the princess, maybe it's not only the bride that is now imbued with this curse, this wasting disease, but the whole faction maybe will waste away and die like they got a plague, if they don't send the bride that was chosen. So those could be some answers. Now listen, I feel like that's the extent of what I would say could be potential answers for this without knowing, any more than what was already provided in the question, without knowing the context of the story and what the goal of the story is, what the logic of magic in their world is, and maybe other information that could help to pinpoint some better options for why a faction would send a bride and what they would get in return. So without knowing all that information, I feel like those are going to be my answers to the question. But what would be your answers? How would you answer this? What reasons would you give for sending a bride, and how would you make it more crucial for the bride to go, and what do they get in return for that? Listen, thank you for your time today. This was a short one. I'm kind of proud of myself. Girl. I don't know about you. I'm kind of proud that we got through it in a more efficient manner. But in any case, listen, enjoy the rest of your day. All right, have some tea. Take a little me time, tea time, me time, tea time. You know what I'm saying? And go write something. Go think about your story. Come up with an idea. You know what I'm saying? Go to Reddit and you answer a question. How would you answer one of their questions? In any case, I will see you next time. All the best. Sincerely, Ashley.